Hey guys, welcome into the Agni Wallace stream. It's about 7 p.m. here on January the 8th, 2025. We're coming to you live from Southern California. We're in the San Gabriel Valley area here, and we started this week on Monday on January the 6th with a highlighted PDS red flag warning. PDS just stands for particularly dangerous situation. And so we've been kind of dealing with critically dry weather conditions, extreme wind, and we've had some pretty critical fire behavior over the last couple of days. So we'll go ahead and just kind of jump right into the maps and show you guys what's happening out there. So without further ado, let me share my screen. All right. So we've got the Southern California area, in essence, covering from Ventura County over here on the left, all the way out to Hemet and Redlands area here on the right, bounded by Victorville and Palmdale in the high desert, and Oceanside, Murrieta, and Santa Ana Mountains here, which separates it from Orange County and San Diego. So we've had just kind of pretty nutty past 48 hours. On Monday evening, we were talking about how this windstorm that was expected to hit Los Angeles area was going to be the worst recorded windstorm since 2007, I believe, when they had the witch fire in San Diego County. Let's kind of jump in, see what we're looking at. One of the things that we do here is we use data to understand what exactly is going on the ground, and we use readily publicly available mapping tools to help us sort of understand what's happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into current fire activity off the NIFC website. NIFC is the National Interagency Fire Center. They're located in Boise, and they do is they put together basically all the historical fires, current fires, and provide mapping tools so people like us can dig in and figure out what's going on. So right now what we're looking at is we're looking for a map of current fire conditions. We're using a tool off NIFC, the satellite called VIRS. I'm not too familiar with how to play around with this data set, so I'm actually just going to go back and use the MODIS thermal hotspot. So MODIS is just another satellite that we use. We're going to go to the last 48 hours, which will kind of tell us what the progression has been like. On the ground conditions have been pretty terrible, to say the least. And that's not an exaggeration. We've had a critically dry spell in California here now for the better part of 6 to 8 months. We haven't seen significant rain in this area, pretty much from Banning out to Santa Monica, which is pretty worrisome. And it lends itself to being really dry and able to go up in flames pretty quickly when you have conditions like what we have right now. Okay, so we'll start. We'll start with Google Maps. Good old Google Maps. All right. So where are we? In Los Angeles. We're gonna first fly over to Malibu. We're gonna look at the Palisade. So Palisade started yesterday. That would be the 7th. It started in. Let's get a little more clear map going. So we had a start out here in Temescal Canyon. This was the kind of the eastern flank of Franklin, which was over here in the Pepperdine area of Malibu about a month ago. So about a month ago, we had a fire threatened Pepperdine University. It started up here in the Montanito area, kind of took over the Piuma Road ridge line and came across into Carb Canyon on the west side and stretched over into Latigo Canyon on the east side. That fire was contained 100%, and basically the fire scar that the fire scar represents where the containment line, where they were able to put line down, was actually road here, and that road is so excuse me, that's Sweetwater Mesa. So Sweetwater Mesa Road, we had Sarah Retreat, which is right here, that was impacted by fire. And what we do know about fires is that well, when they run out of steam and they bump up to a more recent fire scar, they run out of fuel. And what fires need to continue burning and burning heavily, intensely, is ladder fuels, dry timber. Grasses burn fast, but they light up fast and they burn quickly. And so, what the concern with wind-driven fires is that instead of stacking up and reaching the upper atmosphere, these wind-driven fires will exhibit what's called long-range spotting. And so, what happens with long-range spotting is you may have a start, let's say here, in Topanga Canyon, and because the winds are coming from the north to the south, you may have a spot from Topanga Canyon over the ridgeline into Tuna Canyon, and then Tuna into Pena, and Pena into next one, which is Las Flores. So the real problem with wind-driven fires is that you can't really build a box around them because they get taken by the wind. So what are you really supposed to do in these situations? Well, firefighters come out and they say, we're not going to be firefighting. We're going to be focusing on life safety and life protection. And that's really it. So, here's its topography in Malibu. I mean, it's not for, right? We've got, we're just talking, the toughest place to fight a fire is mid-slope. And there's really no opportunity to get in anywhere but the ridgeline or the canyon over. So let's go back over to the Google map. check the most recent mapping. So last night they said the Getty Villa was burning, and maybe aside from a few trees catching here and there. The Getty is a very unique institution in that it's completely sealed, right? So it's sealed from smoke. The art is good in there for a while. They've had a lot of fires threaten these areas, and they have the infrastructure in place to protect it. But let's kind of look around and see who doesn't have the infrastructure to protect themselves. And that's a lot of these homes that are really built in what's called the wildland urban interface. And what happens when you've got a lot of homes in the interface? Let's kind of a little bit of a turn. Look. Ending out into one of the things that we want to talk about today is something that is relatively new to the weather jargon, and that is what's known as mountain wave activity. So what is mountain wave activity? Mountain wave activity is the likelihood of these canyons to act as intensifiers. And so what happens is the wind comes from the north. Okay, so let's go this direction from Lancaster down to Los Angeles. That is actually the pressure gradient that they measure from Barstow Daggett, this area in the high desert above Victorville, all the way down to LAX. And that will tell us barometrically the pressure difference from weather up here and weather down here. And we can measure that difference. That difference will tell us the intensity of the weather that we can expect to experience. So on Monday, when they announced the particularly dangerous situation, the red flag warning for LA and surrounding counties, we could kind of go back to, again, publicly available data, NOAA and other sources, and corroborate that, yeah, it's critically dry. Humidities are in the low teens to high single digits, and we're measuring a steep pressure gradient from it to LAX. And the steep pressure means it wants to escape. It wants to escape fast, and it will that and get to an area of much lower pressure. And so let's see here. Where was I? There we go. Okay. So as the crow flies, the wind comes kind of following the 15, and then it'll funnel itself through 4 or 5 major passes. So you've got one. We'll start down here. You've got the Beaumont Banning Pass, which funnels wind down and out into the desert. Have the Santa Ana River watershed area, which follows from Big Bear Lake all the way down into San Bernardino. You've got the Columdale. In this area is a very intense funnel. The 15, 215, 5, and 14, 118 interchange, Santa Clarita into Gorman and Bakersfield, both extremely treacherous when it comes to wind pressure gradients escape. Last sort of pass that we have is the Cascade Pass, which goes from Valyermo all the way through into Venta. So these 5 passes really dictate the intensity of wind in Southern California and help form emergency responders and just people like you and I on what the conditions are and what we might expect. All right, we've been talking for a little bit. We're going to take a break here to drink some water, and, some juice. We're on our lunch break right now. This is really a critical time. This is important information that really needs to get out. There is more than just the Palisades fire occurring here in Southern California. So, yeah, we have a lot to dig into. So, moving right along. Palisades, I think this is 0% containment. They don't really have a way to get a handle on these fires until the wind dies. That's really it. And then if we flip around, sort of, here, let's look at it from the other way. Santa Monica is directly. Let's go through it. So here we are, Topanga Canyon. All here Valley, underneath the Woolsey fire in 2018. So let's kind of down, get as close to the ground as possible. Right. So let's follow hanging flat, 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 flat. Hills start. And when hills start and you have these ups and downs, intensify and then just come down the other side and can't. Right? Here's your first ridge coming over, intense. Then it's to kind of follow the hillside. It just whatever the heck you want. So it comes down, down. And the time to get out into what is called the Canadian mouth and it's the beach. And these turns and twists intense the wind speeds. And so the time it gets to here, yeah, walking 60 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour. It hits the beach, it hits really steep features, has no choice but to get pushed down ground level and out. And yeah, you're talking 80-mile-an-hour gusts and really, really, really treacherous ground conditions that make it almost impossible to fight a fire. All right, so we'll switch over to the GIS map real quick to kind of show you how they pick up data. So what these satellites do is they scan for heat signatures. And so, yeah, like you say, if you click on any of these dots in the Malibu area, it says somewhere within 1 kilometer, this location is identified as hot by satellite sensors. This could be a wildfire, and the system is monitored by firefighting agencies for early warning detection. So in this case, yeah, they're pretty accurate on this. We have a wind-driven fire that pushed east with the winds, and today pushed west as the winds shifted. Let's see if we pull up. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 6 incidents occurred right now. All right, let's dig into California. Jesus, whole area is lighting up. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about the Palisades fire now, and we'll actually zoom in here so we can see that where it bumped the fire scar of Franklin, which was just a month ago. It's not got much. It's got nothing to burn. This is all freshly burned. I mean, the grass is here less than a couple of weeks old. We haven't had any rain. So yeah. We want to talk about a little bit about the look at these homes. Look at the homes. They're built like literally on the mountain face. So when a fire gets into a neighborhood like this with wind behind it, it's no longer a wildfire. It's technically known as an urban conflagration, and that basically just means that the whole neighborhood's going up, and it's impossible to tell if your house is going to be the one that's next, or if it's your neighbors, or if it's the one 3 houses down, because the wind is blowing ember cast everywhere, and it tends to be pretty chaotic. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move off from Palisades. And actually, let's go over to Sunset. Sunset just started maybe an hour and a half. See if we can find any info on that. Let's check the Twitter. That one is Sunset. It was last mapped at about 20 years. So we're just going to go ahead and harp on something here. This is absolute crap. And this is the exact type of bullshit that we do not need on Twitter. But this absolute moron, whoever's tweeting, Primal Key, do us all a favor and shut the fuck up. Seriously. Thanks for letting us know that the evacuation zone is at the Hollywood Hills Dolby Theater. That is very important news. If you're in Hollywood, please go to the Dolby Theater if you're evacuating. But this is not to be blamed on Gavin Newsom's failed water and forest management policies. This is a collective failure on government, on citizens, on landowners, on everyone. It's a failure for Californians as a whole to recognize that if it can burn, it will burn. California is that type of it will burn. California, it will dry. Yeah. So anyway, it's really easy to go around throwing blame and pointing fingers and saying, "Oh, it's this person's fault because they didn't do this." In reality, it's a little bit of the fact that people weren't prepared. It's the fact that our heads are stuck in the sand when it comes to global warming and climate change. But yeah, so we're seeing right now on with Sunset is that there are resources. Let's go again to Sunset. With Sunset is that there are no resources. Let's go again to Sunset, which is just in the north of Hollywood. So we're looking at Los Angeles here on the right, West Hollywood here in the middle. Sunset. Waddles Garden. Currently, the structure protection efforts are taking place off of Curzon. There's a lot of traffic in this area as people look to evacuate and get the heck out of there. Looks like the spot. Oh gosh, we're low on battery. This stream is going to be ending soon. Just based battery. It does look like there was a spot down here closer to Franklin Avenue. That spot, if I saw the video correctly, has merged with fire. So Sunset is probably closer to 30 acres by now, 30 to 40, I'd say. And structure protection is the most important thing that they can be doing for this fire right now. With wind-driven fires, it's almost impossible to create a plan. You're really at the mercy of the weather. So with that, evacuating from Hollywood, please be extremely cautious and careful. There's a lot of panic that's like set in very quickly. Just keep as level of a head as possible. All right. Kind of into another fire. We were last night. So last night we were at Eaton Canyon, which up in Pasadena. Over there. The mapping is not accurate from the VIS website or VIS satellite, but what is accurate is this map from CAL FIRE. So last night we had northeast winds. There was a wind shift, as it happens in California. They're unpredictable to a certain extent. So there was extreme behavior and progression to the east. The Bradbury, Duarte, and Monrovia started to receive evacuation warnings last night, and I believe they're still under evacuation warning. Today, the fire was moving in a westerly direction towards the La Cañada Flint Ridge area. Verdugo Peak camera was showing pretty significant fire activity on the eastern flank, and so this they did call in the LATs and the VLATs, the Quebec Super Scoopers. They put available aircraft that could fly on Eaton and Palisades. There were a couple other fires that broke out that started. You had Lydia up in the Act area, but they got that one knocked pretty quick. And then you had Hearst, which is still 0% contained, but it's burning in a fire scar. Like we mentioned earlier, when you have a fire scar with not a lot of fuels in it, fire's gonna tend to burn itself out. And so we're really hoping for with Hearst because resources are stretched far too thin right now. Last night they called off the LA County Fire Department officers, fighters to assist. Something. And again, we kind of like look at this area, and it's not forest. Yeah, this is forested up here, and You got your green space here, the parkland stuff, but really is get down into it. You're in town, and this is becomes an urban configuration, right? And so let's go over to Earth and fly around. Not topography. This is pretty steep, and again, since it's funneling air through gaps, and when you have a lot of air coming through a really small gap, it pushes itself through. And the more it wants to push through, the more it tumbles over itself, and the more sporadic it becomes harder to understand, even graph out. I mean, just like this is really deep right here. This is very unforgiving. Where are we? The Eaton Canyon area right here. So again, it kind of went from canyon to canyon, right? You had Eaton Canyon, Santa Anita Canyon, Little Anita Canyon, Big Santa Anita Canyon, Clearleaf, Monrova, Stop, Spanish, and then Duarte. Um, and it just jumps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, because the wind is taking it. And then on the left, you've got let's look at them. Look at the community of Altadena. I mean, it's definitely a copy of Malibu. Look at these homes. You're talking a there's Miller Canyon. Got a whole bunch of homes right south of it. It's all prime candidates to burn as soon as the wind. And I mean, again, canyon. All right, folks. We're 2% battery, so this is ending here. But we're gonna be back on about 1 in the morning to talk about progression and how the mapping is looking. If they've been able to handle on for now. Anyway, tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next time.